fourth Dharma of Longchenpa by Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche. Letting confusion dawn as wisdom. All sentient beings, without a single exception, have Buddha nature, from the Dharmakaya Buddha down to the tiniest insect. There is no real difference between individuals in the quality or size of this enlightened essence. However, Buddhas and fully enlightened bodhisattvas have cut the movement of dualistic mind at the very beginning. That is how they are different from sentient beings. Buddha's and bodhisattvas' expression of mind takes the form of compassionate activity. This activity, through emanations and re-emanations, appears in all samsaric realms in order to teach other beings. Sentient beings, on the other hand, have fallen under the power of dualistic thinking. An ordinary person's attention strays according to any movement of mind. Suddenly, there is the confusion of believing in self and other, subject and object. And this situation goes on, repeating itself endlessly. This is samsaric existence. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas were successful in getting up on the dry land of enlightenment. But we sentient beings became bewildered and are now drowning in the unsuccessful, unsatisfactory state we all find ourselves in. We are still in the ocean of samsara. We have not yet gotten our heads fully out of the water. We have roamed about in one confused state of experience after another, endlessly. At the same time, we haven't lost our Buddha nature. Our Buddha nature is never separate from our minds. Though we are not apart from it, we do not know it, and thus we wander in samsaric existence. Confusion arising as wisdom means realizing that the Buddha nature pervades all sentient beings. We have not lost it. It has never been apart from our minds for even a single instant. This Buddha nature is always present, and the only thing that conceals it is our own thinking. Nothing else obscures it. The essence becomes obscured by the expression. The expression of our own attention takes the form of the confused thinking that obscures us. In other words, we are obscuring our own Buddha nature. And now is the time to clear up this confusion. Now is the time to free ourselves from samsara. Unless we do it in this lifetime, it is not going to happen all by itself. The Buddha not only appeared in this world, he imparted the precious instructions on how to realize our own Buddha nature. And these teachings on how to realize our enlightened essence have been made available through an unbroken lineage of great masters. Confusion here means believing something to be what it is not. To be confused is the same as to be mistaken. How do we turn confusion into wisdom? First, we need to understand what confusion is. Confusion is taking what isn't for what is. It's the opposite of knowing what is to be as it is. Within our Buddha nature are three qualities of enlightened body, speech, and mind. The unchanging quality that is like the openness of space is called Vajra body. The unceasing quality is called Vajra speech. The unmistaken quality, the capacity to perceive even without thought, is called Vajra mind. These three, Vajra body, speech and mind, are inherently present as the nature of all sentient beings. All we need to do is recognize this. Even though we have the three Vajras, we don't know it, and thus we continue to wander in samsara. Ordinary confusion covers up our innate three Vajras. Our physical body of flesh and blood covers the Vajra body. The words and sounds we utter, which are interrupted and intermittently created, obscure the unceasing quality of Vajra speech. And our train of thoughts that comes and goes and endlessly arises and ceases from moment to moment, day after day, life after life, is exactly what obscures the unmistaken quality of Vajra mind. What is necessary now is to recognize our own nature instead of going on being confused. The fourth Dharma of Longchenpa, confusion dawning as wisdom, refers to the completion stage. The true completion stage involves recognizing our Buddha nature. When pure gold is covered by dirt, it is not obvious that it is gold, even though this dirt is temporary. But once the dirt is removed, we realize that the gold is gold. In the same way, when our confusion is purified, the wisdom that is our basic wakefulness is made manifest. At present, the state of ordinary people is like pure gold covered with dirt. Our Buddha nature is covered by temporary obscurations. One of the main obscurations that need to be purified is our fixation on duality, on solid reality. Once it is purified, then gold is just pure gold. As long as our mind is confused, bewildered, deluded, and mistaken, our Buddha nature continues to be dragged through the realms of samsara. But when the mind is unconfused, unmistaken, and undeluded, it is the Buddha nature itself. It is not that the Buddha nature is one thing and our mind is another separate thing. They are not two different entities. The undiluted mind itself is the pure gold, the Buddha nature. Sentient beings do not have two minds. When the mind is deluded, it is given the name sentient being. When the mind is undiluted, unmistaken, it is called Buddha. It is said, there is no Buddha apart from your own mind. We do not have two minds. There is just one mind that is either deluded or undeluded. The Buddha nature is exactly the original unmistaken quality of our mind, also called the Dharmakaya Buddha Samantabhadra. There is a difference between being deluded and undeluded, between recognizing and not recognizing our nature. The primordially unmistaken quality is called enlightenment, Buddhahood, or the awakened state of Dharmakaya. The primordially deluded aspect is called ignorance, or the deluded experience of sentient beings. Although we have the essence of Buddhahood within us, it is temporarily obscured. The essence of the Buddha's teachings is the method on how to let confusion dawn as wisdom. The most vital point here is the introduction to and recognition of the Buddha nature, the innate wisdom of Dharmakaya that is already present within oneself. This fourth Dharma is a teaching on how to recognize, train in, and stabilize this recognition of the Buddha nature. Understanding it is called the view. Practicing it is called samadhi. And stabilizing it is called Buddhahood. Buddhahood is not outside. It is not something else that all of a sudden is absorbed into ourselves and magically transforms us into a Buddha. We have one mind, but we need to distinguish between its two aspects, essence and expression. Understand this analogy for the relationship between the two. The essence is like the sun shining in the sky. The expression is like its reflection upon the surface of water. The sun in the sky is the real sun. The reflection of the sun appearing on the surface of water looks like the sun, but is not the real sun. Let's call the sun in the sky the Buddha nature, the unmistaken, undiluted quality, the essence itself. The reflection of the sun upon the surface of the water is an analogy for our normal deluded thinking, the expression. Without the sun in the sky, it is impossible for a reflection of the sun to appear. Although there is actually only one sun, it looks like there are two. That is what is called one identity with two aspects. The essence, the Buddha nature, is like the sun shining in the sky. The expression is our thinking, compared to the sun's reflection. The state of being a Buddha is unconfused and undiluted, just like the sun shining in the sky. The state of the mind of sentient beings is like the reflection of the sun on water. Just as the reflection is dependent upon water, our thoughts are dependent upon objects. The object is what is thought of, and the subject is the perceiving mind. Subject-object fixation is the cause for continuing in deluded samsaric existence, day and night, life after life. The fixation upon subject and object, the perceiving subject and the perceived object, is solidified again and again each moment, and thus recreates samsaric existence. Right now, we have the 5 sense objects of sights, sounds, smells, tastes, and textures. In between, as the gates, we have the 5 senses. And there are also the various consciousnesses that continuously apprehend these different sense objects. Can the reflection of the sun on the water illuminate the whole world? Can it even shine over the whole lake? Can it make things grow? No, because it does not have the qualities of the real sun. In the same way, the aspect of mind known as expression, our thinking, lacks the qualities of the real state of Buddhahood. But the sun in the sky by itself is able to shine and spread its warmth throughout the whole world, illuminating all darkness. To put it simply, the mind of the Buddhas is unobscured, while the mind of sentient beings is obscured. What is the obscuration? It is our own reoccurring fixation on subject and object. Buddha nature is continuously present in us, as well as in everyone else, without any exception whatsoever. It is in essence forever unobscured. It doesn't increase or decrease. It is not sometimes covered or uncovered. It is totally beyond mental constructs. It does not change in size. It is not that someone has a big Buddha nature and somebody else a small one. There is no difference in quality either. It is continuously present to the same extent in everyone. To recognize the Buddha nature present in oneself is called the view. To sustain the continuity of that correctly is called meditation or training. To mingle that with daily activities and act in accordance with the Dharma is called action or conduct. And to realize it as totally unobscured, like the sun shining with unchanging brilliance in the sky, is called fruition. We need to recognize the view. We need to recognize our Buddha nature. Although it is something we already have, we need to acknowledge what we possess. The preliminary practices, the development stage, and so forth are all meant to enable us to recognize our Buddha nature. They are like helpers, assistants. To say, recognize your own nature, the Buddha nature, does not mean that we have to produce something that does not exist, like trying to squeeze gold out of a piece of wood, which is impossible. We must simply recognize what we already possess. But humans, who are the most clever and capable of all the different types of sentient beings, seem to be bent on totally throwing away this most precious, wish-fulfilling jewel. The normal state of a human being is like someone who has found a precious wish-fulfilling jewel but ignores it, thinking that a fake piece of jewellery is more valuable. There is nothing sadder or more wasteful than this. Think very hard about this. Try to understand that the situation we are in now is like holding a wish-fulfilling jewel right in our hand. It is not easy to take rebirth as a human being, and it is definitely not easy to gain a precious human body with its opportunity to practice the Dharma. The precious human body is something extremely rare. If we do not use the opportunity we have right now, there is no guarantee whatsoever that we will be human in our next life. In fact, it is almost certain that we will not, because the habitual negative karmic patterns are so strong. This short opening right now will soon be covered up again for eons and eons before we have another chance to be a human. Please think sincerely about this. Is there any greater waste than throwing away a wish-fulfilling jewel when you finally find one? If we didn't already have this wish-fulfilling jewel, it would be difficult to find. But, as a matter of fact, through all our beginningless lifetimes, we have never been without it. If we were told, "You must possess a wish-fulfilling jewel," then we would be in trouble, because we would suddenly have to come up with something we don't possess. But the wish-fulfilling jewel of Buddha nature is already present in us. It is because of our ignorance and illusion that we do not recognize it and continue life after life among the 6 classes of sentient beings. How sad that people throw away what is really valuable and instead chase after food, wealth, a good reputation, and praise. But if we do not take hold of what is truly valuable in this lifetime, we will just continue endlessly in samsaric existence. I'm not asking you to understand this, because of course you already do. I'm simply reminding you. The Buddha nature is already present as the nature of our own mind, just like the unchanging brilliance of the sun shining in the sky. But due to our ordinary dualistic thinking, this sun of the Buddha nature is not evident. We don't see it. Not even a fraction of the innate qualities of Buddhahood are manifest in the state of a normal person. The conceptual thoughts we have day and night obscure our Buddha nature. Just like the sun in the sky is momentarily covered by clouds and seems to be obscured. Due to the passing clouds of ignorance, we do not recognize the Buddha nature. The ever-present Buddha nature is like the unhindered sun shining in the sky. But sunshine never reaches inside a cave facing north. This cave is an analogy for misunderstanding, wrong view, or partial understanding. From primordial time until this very moment, the main actions we have performed have been the activities of the three poisons: attachment, anger, and dullness. We have continuously engaged in liking, disliking, and remaining indifferent. Not just in one or two lives, but throughout countless lifetimes. Mind beyond concepts refers to the situation of being free of the three poisons. A normal person is totally engrossed in the three poisons throughout their whole lifetime. To attain liberation from samsara, we need to leave behind the three poisons. How can we be free from them? We cannot bury them underground, flush them away, burn them, blow them up, or even throw a nuclear bomb at them and expect the three poisons to disappear. Our continuous involvement with them is like an evil machine. The perfect Buddha describes samsaric existence as an ocean of endless suffering, or like the continuous revolving of an endless machine, like a vicious circle. We need to apply a method to liberate ourselves and all other sentient beings from the ocean of samsara. That method is recognition of Buddha nature, which can clear away and eradicate the three poisons in our mind. Self-existing awareness is itself the path followed by all the Buddhas of the three times. The Buddhas of the past followed the path of self-existing wisdom and attained enlightenment. The Buddhas of the present follow the path of self-existing wisdom, and in the future, anyone who attains enlightenment will do so only by recognizing self-existing wisdom. There is not even an atom of any other path that leads to true enlightenment. Let's take another example. Imagine a room that has been completely sealed off and has remained in total darkness for 10,000 years. The ignorant state of mind of a normal person who does not recognize the nature of mind, the Buddha nature, is like the dense darkness inside that room. The moment of recognizing self-aware wisdom is like pressing the switch to turn on the light in the room that has been dark for 10,000 years. In that instant, all the darkness is gone, right? 10,000 years of darkness are dispelled in one moment. In the same way, the wisdom of recognizing one's nature dispels eons of ignorance and negative actions. When you press the switch to turn on the light in a room that has been dark for 10,000 years, the darkness disappears at once. Now I will give a name to our Buddha nature. It is called empty and cognizant self-existing wakefulness. The empty aspect, the essence, is like space that pervades everywhere. But inseparable from this empty quality is a natural capacity to cognize and perceive, which is basic wakefulness. Buddha nature is called self-existing because it is not made out of anything or created by anyone. Self-existing means uncreated by causes in the beginning and undestroyed by circumstances in the end. This self-existing wakefulness is present in all beings without a single exception. Our thinking and self-existing wakefulness are never apart. The thinking mind is called expression, while the basic wakefulness is called essence. Thus, there are actually two names for the mind. In the case of an ignorant sentient being, the mind is called empty cognizance with a core of ignorance, Marikpa. The mind of all the Buddhas is called empty cognizance with a core of awareness, Rigpa. In order to enable us to recognize or know our own essence, the teacher, the Vajra master, gives what is called the pointing out instruction. It is for that single purpose. And yet, what they point out is not something we don't already have. We already possess the Buddha nature. First, we must recognize our own nature, our essence. Next, we must endeavour with great diligence to continuously sustain that recognition, which is called training. Finally, reaching the state where not even an iota of conceptual thinking remains, when conceptual thinking is totally purified, is called the attainment of stability. This stability is also known as the complete enlightenment of Buddhahood. Another analogy is the seed of a flower. Knowing it's a seed corresponds to recognizing our Buddha nature. After it has been planted and watered and starts to sprout leaves, a stamen and petals, that is called training. When the flower is finally fully grown, with beautiful multicolored blossoms, that corresponds to the attainment of stability. The seed of a flower does not look like a flower in full bloom, but a seed that is the unmistaken seed of a beautiful flower can be planted, and it will grow into one. Although when we see a flower, it is amazingly beautiful, we wouldn't find the seed of that flower spectacular at all. In the same way, do not expect the recognition of mind essence to be something spectacular. But when the recognition has been stabilized, as in the case of a Buddha, the state of complete enlightenment contains many great qualities, like the fourfold fearlessnesses, the 10 powers, the 18 unique qualities, and so forth. The state of Buddhahood also contains the capacity to transform an instant into an eon, and an eon into an instant. The qualities of Buddhahood are inconceivable, and all these qualities are inherently present in the Buddha nature. They are not some new qualities that are achieved later on. There are not two different types of Buddha nature. It is not that the Buddhas have one type of Buddha nature and we sentient beings have another type. Humans are as numerous as stars at night time, but those with precious human bodies are like stars in the morning. The practice of recognizing Buddha nature should continue throughout our lives. We must equalize life and practice. In other words, we should not practice only for a short time and then abandon the Dharma. We should train for as long as we live.